Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. I am really excited to be interviewing Kim Sorrelle. The reason being is, as we'll get through this podcast, you will find out the resilience of this woman and what she went through and how she found the most amazing thing that we're all trying to find, which is love. But let me get started by saying that Kim is an entrepreneur, director of a humanitarian organization, always gets me that work, author and speaker. She devoted a year in search of true meaning of love, and she found it. So I can't wait. Her award-winning best-selling book, Love Is, chronicles her sometimes funny, sometimes scary, always enlightening journey that led to a life-changing discoveries. Found mainly on the streets of Haiti. Is that how you say it?
Haiti?
Haiti. Yep.
Yeah.
Kim is now on a mission to change the world with the power of love. Having said all of this, welcome, Kim. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm super excited. When you reached out to me, let me just say, when you reached out to me and you sent me that little snippet about you being diagnosed and a loved one being diagnosed, I remember sitting back in my seat, and I have to first and foremost, I take my hat off to people like that, because it takes so much of the human soul to go through that. And I'll get you to explain what we're talking about. So let's start with that. So I just wanted to acknowledge you first and foremost, because as I said, it just takes such human spirit to go through that. So let's start with your journey with breast cancer. So how were you diagnosed? Was it a routine check?
Well, I was 47 and I'd had a couple mammograms and hated them because whoever invented that machine, we know what a torture device that is, right? Like those
That's
things
right.
in front of us are not supposed to be turned into pancakes. And it's painful, it's uncomfortable. And so I fought going, and I went for a physical, and my doctor said, come on, it's been a couple years. You need to go. You need to go. So I said, fine. I kind of did it for her. And I'm thinking, oh, it's just the way the healthcare gets more money. Like, what is this about? Why do I have to do this? And they give you that little thing that opens in the front, that you got to put on. And these two really sweet, sweet ladies, older ladies, came and called my name and brought me in a little room to teach me how to do a breast exam. And I'm thinking, I've been through this. And I said, thank you. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. You're so kind. But I really don't even want to be here. Breast cancer is not in my family. I'm perfectly fine. This is taking my time. I have other places I'd rather be. You don't have to tell me anything else, whatever. So then he had the mammogram, and then you go had me wait in the waiting room again. And then they said, well, they want an ultrasound. So then they did an ultrasound, and then they said, well, we're going to schedule you for a biopsy. And the whole time I was in complete denial. I was saying, there's no way it's going to come back. Most of the time these things don't come back, that they're cancer. And so it's not going to come back that way. So September 3rd is my birthday, and that's the day I had the biopsy. And September 5th was a Friday. And I had two grandbabies in the bathtub, two little babies in the bathtub. And my phone rang on a Friday afternoon that, the doctor's office would be closed. I couldn't call back or anything. So Friday afternoon, blah, 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 you have cancer, blah, blah, blah. I didn't even know what to say or think. And it's just not the word you ever want to hear for anyone you know, anyone you love, and yourself.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So do you know what stage you were diagnosed at?
Yes. I was very fortunate because it was large. Like, the first doctor I went to talked about a lumpectomy. I wasn't real wild about that doctor. I think it was 5 hours that we sat in the waiting room, 5 hours until we saw her for 3 minutes. Wow. And she just whipped in and said, yeah, go schedule surgery. Goodbye. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's not who I'm going to work with. And so I found a doctor that I loved, and she ran a couple tests and said, "No way, a lumpectomy." It was too big because it was, uh, whatever, 9 centimeters by 5, I think.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, 9 by 5 centimeters, and so, yeah, so it was big, but it was contained. It hadn't traveled. So
Mm.
no involvement, none of that. It had hormone receptors, so I did, uh, need to have a hysterectomy because it's kind of, with the kind of breast cancer I had, it's kind of not if you'll get ovarian or uterine cancer, it's
Mhm.
when. So, get everything removed, and it goes hand in hand with colon cancer. So I had to have a colonoscopy and whatever. So, yeah, so that's good that it was caught as
Mm.
early as it was.
So did you have to so you got operated, did you have to do any chemo or radiation? Did you have to do any of that?
I didn't because they felt like they got good margins, and they were a little concerned about the margins, but they felt pretty good about it. And so it was more, okay, we'll kind of play this thing by ear a bit. And
Mm.
so I didn't have to have any of that, which is rare and wonderful for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I did
Mm.
have to decide, because it was in one side. They knew that it was in one side, and so then you had to decide to get 1 or 2 removed, and I didn't know you had to make choices like that. Like, I had no
Mhm.
idea that you had to make choices. I didn't know how to deal with this. I never knew anyone who'd been through it, and we were sitting at the dinner table one night, and my kids were grown, and, I was talking about it, and I said, "Gosh, I don't know what to do. How am I supposed to answer that question? What am I supposed to do?" And one of my sons said, "Mom, would you get new siding on just half the house?" And I went, "No, I wouldn't." So there's
Yeah.
my answer. We'll go with 2. So anyway, yeah, yeah. So
So
I
did
was
you had a double mastectomy, a
right.
hysterectomy,
Yes,
and did you end up having, a full construction done?
I
Or are
did.
you Yep. Mhm,
Yep,
mhm.
I did. My doctor was a little too generous, I have to say. So, yes, I left the hospital with expanders in,
Yeah.
so went through all of that with the needle going in to expand them, and he asked me what size I wanted to be, and I said, "I don't know, you're the doctor, like, normal, I just wanna be normal." And, he was very, very more generous than I wish he would have been, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going through this whole process. So this is a big, even though you didn't have to do the chemo radiation, which is great news, it's still a big thing that you're going through, the operation, a double mastectomy, a hysterectomy, then a reconstruction, things like that. Then you get the so then let's move forward because you said after 4 months of your breast cancer journey. So were you still going through your breast cancer journey when your husband found the news that he got told?
Yeah, yeah, I was. In fact, he I was diagnosed in September, and by the end of September, he was having a lot of stomach pains and went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, it's nerves because of what Kim's going through. Just take some Rolaids, take some Tums." And then he went back 2 months later in November. The doctor said the same thing, but got him an appointment in January at a gastro guy, and I was the mouth of the couple, and so I needed to be at that appointment, but I couldn't go because the next day was my colonoscopy and hysterectomy. I couldn't be 5 feet
Mm.
away from a bathroom all day, and so I couldn't go with him, and he came home, and that doctor said the same thing that his doctor said. And so, uh, a week into my recovery, and they found bladder cancer when they did my surgery, so it was a little different recovery, for the hysterectomy, and my body already was traumatized and in pain. And so I, was in bed still, watching Grey's Anatomy reruns or something on TV, and I woke up in the morning just a week out from my surgery and, from that surgery, And my husband was already awake and he was just in pain. And I said, that's it. Go to the emergency room. They'll run a test. They'll do something. They're not going to just let you be in pain. And so he went to the emergency room and I waited for a phone call, waited for a phone call. Finally, he called and he said, I guess they're going to keep me overnight. And I'm like, keep you overnight? They don't keep anybody overnight. And it's a Friday. They're going to keep you overnight. And so I went and put on real people clothes and got in my car, drove like a crazy woman down the road in my Vicodin-induced state. And I was close to the hospital when my phone rang again. And he said, I guess there's a spot on my liver. I'm like, spot on your liver. So I just started bawling. I was just crying. And so I could barely see, running into the hospital, holding all parts of my body. And they told me where he was, and it was behind a curtain. And I whipped back the curtain, and he was sitting on the bed, and I'm bawling, and he's sitting on the edge of the bed like nothing is happening. And he said, listen, I am not going to invite you out anymore if this is the way you're going to behave. And I said, listen, buddy, you are not allowed to be funny right now. But it took a few days, a few more tests and a few days to get his diagnosis, pancreatic cancer, which is no cure, nothing they can do about that.
Wow. So, wow. Wow. I can get really emotional now. Because I mean, I'm married as well. So I'm just, it's a horrible thing to find. I mean, it was horrible for him to have to go through your journey. And now in a way, you're going to have to look at his journey because you're still going through your journey.
Mhm.
Because like you mentioned, he unfortunately passed away very soon after, 6 weeks later. So if you want to talk about that process, how is it now that you have a family, you have children, you have your own journey, you are now coming to grips with what's just happened, like your husband's just being diagnosed. What's going through your mind?
Well, it's interesting because his dad, 2 years almost to the day before my husband was diagnosed, his dad was diagnosed with the same cancer.
Wow.
And so we knew that it's a death sentence, basically. I mean, there's nothing that they can do. And so we're praying people, and we just prayed that whatever, he gets some miraculous healing or goes to heaven, but please don't let him suffer, was our prayer. And so we actually had a really great 6 weeks together. We just stayed home, we watched TV, we played some cards, we did whatever, and he wasn't in pain. He had a really good hospice, and he did great, and they were wonderful, and he wasn't in pain. And the doctor had told us that he expected him to live probably a year because he was young and healthy. He was 6'3" and 175 pounds, and so he should, his body's not going to give up too quickly. And but so 6 weeks was so fast, and the morning that we woke up on a Sunday morning, and I woke up because he was in pain, and it was really the first he'd really been in pain. And I called the hospice nurse, and she came right over and gave him some extra morphine, whatever. And he was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I was holding him from behind. And she was on the phone in our bedroom, calling for a hospital bed, calling for equipment, because we were just in bed together and we were just living life at that time. And but he was in such agony. And I said to her, should I call my kids? Like, what's going on here? What is it? And she, no, you've got lots of time. You've got lots of time. You sure? I shouldn't, no, you've got lots of time. It's okay. It's okay. And so, but I was holding him, and I could just feel how miserable he was. And so I just whispered in his ear, I said, baby, go. And he took his last breath. That was it. It was that fast. That was it.
Wow. Wow. Where do you go from here? Obviously, this is now truly just, just I don't even know what to say. I'm just, I'm still in that awe. So, and you've just lost someone. You now have to move forward. So, what's the first thing that you found within yourself? What was the strength? Where was that strength that you found within yourself to keep moving forward? What was the next, you know, I mean, when I say the next thing, obviously there's the grieving and everything, but where was that change where you sort of had to sit up and say, right, I need to change this now. I need to start moving forward.
Yeah, well, at first I really felt like I needed to be strong for my kids. Looking
Mm,
back, I didn't have to be strong for my kids because they're
mm,
strong on their own. But I felt like I needed to do that. Like I just needed to put on, a brave face and whatever and be strong for them. And so I didn't right away deal with the grief so much.
mm,
But then, it sinks in. I mean, I'm home alone, and we were going to be 100 years old and die together, on the porch
mm.
sipping lemonade or whatever. And
Yeah.
you just don't expect to be 47 years old and alone when you had this whole different life that you thought
Mhm.
was going to be. And we had a great marriage, so we didn't. I have no regrets. I mean, we had a great marriage, and so I still had the expanders in, and I still had to have that surgery. I still had to have there were a couple surgeries I still had to have yet. I still had to deal with bladder cancer. I still had to go through some things. And finally, so he died in March of that year. And so finally then the end of the year, I was ready to go back to work, do something. And as an entrepreneur, I had my own businesses, but other people were running them. So I didn't know if I was going to go back and do that, if I was going to go back into the nonprofit world. And I ran into somebody. I decided I was going to be part-time bookkeeper. I was going to take it slow, be part-time bookkeeper for the nonprofit that my father and I had started 10 years before then. We had a director running. And so I started January 1, clean books. And then 12 days later, there was an earthquake in Haiti that killed 200,000 people.
Mhm,
I went
mhm,
from part-time bookkeeper to 24/7. And within a couple of weeks, I was in Haiti. And then for the next several years, I was in Haiti at least part of every month for the next many
wow.
years. And and I'll tell you though, I really think that was very healing. I think serving is healing. I think
Mm,
it's not something we look at as something that's healing. We think you have to go through these stages of grief, and I didn't go through the stages like I was supposed to, or like they say you're
mm,
supposed to. I think everybody
sure.
kind of does their own thing, but there was healing in the service for sure.
Yeah, and like it's beautiful how you say that because we are at service. Part of being a human being is at being at service for others. And one of the things that my husband always says, he's a life coach, and he always says, what I learn is not to be kept, but to be shared.
Mm.
And I really like that because the thing is, we're here to be human beings, and beings do things with one another. But you know, like you said, you were being strong at the time, although you didn't need to for your children. So you've just sort of picked yourself up and said, all right, I'm moving forward through this. And, of course, you've had your moments. I'm not sure how long you were married. I get the impression for a very long time, a beautiful time. And, so now what, what you had to do was so find yourself basically. So when you like you talk about, okay, so I'm not sure if you want to talk about the fact that you were chased by a motorcycle gang and slept on the grounds of snakes and tarantulas. Now I'm thinking the only place I know of snakes and tarantulas are in the jungle of Peru, but I could be dead wrong. So is this after or before? So you're going through your own trauma of your cancer. You're having your loved one pass away. Did this happen after?
Right. Yeah. After, because I questioned love. There seems to
Mm.
be this mystery with love. Like we think we know what it is, but
So
then
what is love?
do we
Yeah.
know what it is, right? And so I decided I needed to figure it out. I needed to be the one. Like nobody's really figured this out. And losing my husband made me question love because
Mm.
we loved each other. We were married for a month shy of 29 years.
Wow,
And
beautiful.
yeah, and they
Mm.
had a great relationship. And uh, I wanted to know, am I doing this thing right? Am I doing it right? Do I really understand? And so I decided that I would dedicate a year to figuring out the true meaning of love. I would search for it and be dedicated to finding it and hope to find it. And I
Mm.
decided to use this 2,000-year-old poem that in the States you hear at a lot of weddings. I don't know about in Australia, but love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, etc. And I would take one word a month and figure out what is love that is patient? What is love that is kind? And mostly I was in Haiti when I was working on it. And Haiti is a tough place to be. It's not easy.
Mm.
There's still ravages of the earthquake this many years later, and hurricanes that happened. There was a big earthquake not this past summer, but the summer before again, and so they just keep getting hit with stuff. I mean, it's a tough place, and um, so I started out, and my goal was I was going to do this for myself. And I was going to write about it along the way. And if it never became a book, then it never became a book. I needed to do this for me.
Mm.
And so I started each chapter with what I think it is. Love is patient. We know what patience is. You're getting the kids ready for school and you can't find that one pair of shoes, and you don't get all upset about it. And
Mm.
so that's patience. But what I figured out is that you put love is in front of any word and it changes the meaning of the word. And so it took me all month, every month to figure it out. And so like the first month, um, then I tell the story. So I tell what I think it is, and then I tell the story of what brings me to the truth of it. And yeah, I was chased by a motorcycle gang. I slept outside. I got lost on a mountain. I mean, crazy things happened. And I don't know if I was just thick skulled or what, but it's like, now I understand. But it took a long time to understand each one.
Wow. So it's basically like it was like the moment of, we're going to test you now.
Yes.
You think you think you've got all the answers. All right, you're going to have your first test. And that's, no, I mean, I don't know how you looked at it. So you could look at a being, chased by a motorcycle gang as, oh, frightening and whatever. Or you can feel it as like, I get where they're coming from. Compassion and wisdom, obviously. Wisdom, get the hell out. But compassion, I know where they're coming from, things like that. So you're dedicated. So basically, yeah, so you've thrown yourself into a year of learning what is love. I mean, that's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? What is
Mhm.
love? Where does love come from? And it gets thrown around very easily sometimes. One of the things my husband says is, when I go, ooh, I don't like that smell or I don't like this. And he's like, you know what, Grace, but I love you unconditionally, which means I don't care what smells coming from where. I don't care, and I think, well, does that mean I don't love you unconditionally? But you know what I mean? It's because that's when a true love is. It's not just telling the other person I love you. It's physically feeling that energy between two people. So you're on this journey. You're going. So basically, through Haiti the whole time. How if I'm correct in saying, is Haiti like a third world country? Is it?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
There you go. So because I was going to say, when I went to Peru, part of my journey in Peru in the jungles is seeing the people, how authentic they were with nothing. that was pure souls there and then. Do you believe that that helped you being there, that you can see the authenticity of the people, although there's other things going on? Did that help you through your journey when you see the authenticity of the people? Did you see that as love?
Yeah, yeah, that I haven't been asked that before. That's a really good question. I do think doing what I did there as opposed to at home changed things because
Mm,
everything there is intense. The
mm,
traffic is ridiculous. Port-au-Prince is the capital of the country, and there are 2 million people, and there's infrastructure for 40,000 people. So
wow.
everywhere you go takes an hour. Everything you
Mm,
do, everything is dirty. There's everything is hard. Doing
mm,
anything there is hard. Doing anything there is work, and much more work than it is where I live. And most people have no running water. You know, they're going to get their water from somewhere. Most of the time, it's contaminated water. When the earthquake happened, there was a UN base because there's UN troops there, UN police, and there was a base on a river, one of the bases on a river, and there were people in the UN that came from a country that cholera is part of something that's in the country but
mm,
has been eradicated from Haiti for 100 years. Well, they
right.
brought cholera to the country. So here
Wow.
they're dealing with cholera. I mean, it's just one thing, Zika
After
and,
another.
you know, chikungunya. I mean, just one thing after another for them and political unrest. And it's just difficult and a lot of one room houses and
Mm,
you know with a family of 6 or 8 and just have nothing but yet are happy, right? And do
mm,
because
mhm,
we all have the same basic needs. We all have the same basic things inside of us. And but
mm.
it was work. It was work to do
Yeah.
anything. And so I think having that element of the challenge of making it through every day,
Mhm.
certainly added to the intensity of the journey.
Wow, yeah, because the thing is, it's like you've been pulled out of your world and you've been put into another one where you need to now, and like we mentioned before, being at service. One of the things, if someone says, "I want to be happy," you want to be happy, help others and expect
Right,
nothing in return.
right.
So, and that is the ultimate happiness because people go, "Oh, I don't know how to be happy. I don't know how to be happy." You want to feel happy. Someone else can't make you feel happy. You can make yourself feel happy. You want to feel happy? Help others,
Mhm. I love that.
expecting
Right.
nothing in return. Because if it's a transaction, don't worry, you're going to keep transaction for the rest of your life. So, and that's the thing now. So now here you are. You've got everything built up. You're going through this. You're gone to this place where like you said, there are people who are worse off because we always think that our problems are the biggest problems in the world until we see others. There are others that are
Right.
having bigger, others that have it smaller. So here you are thrown into this chaos around you, so to speak, and you're there going, right, you didn't put your needs last. What you did is you thought, I need to be able to feel and heal and move forward, which is hard because I'm sure there were times where did you ever feel like this is just way too much? I just want to go back home, go under my blankets and just, ride this wave, whatever's happening. Because I haven't dealt with me, sort of thing. Did you ever feel those moments?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, for
Mm,
sure. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're dirty and sweaty, I mean, it's hot in Haiti. It's always hot in Haiti, and, there's little electricity, so it's not like you're going into air-conditioned places. You're not sleeping in air conditioning. There's, uh even in the capital, most places get electricity for a few hours a day. And so, depending on where you are, your hours will be different than your neighbors, whatever. And so, and sometimes a shower is out of a bucket because there's
mm,
no shower. And so,
mm,
yeah, so um, there's no there's a lot of places with, like, no comforts of home, nothing familiar really, nothing the way you're used to it, and yes, oh my gosh, so many times that I'm like, "Why am I doing this?" And I you there's bugs and there's yeah, I mean, it's just tough, like, you just wanna be home in your own
Yeah,
bed and clean
yeah.
and with clean clothes and, yeah, yeah, it was tough.
Well, see, the thing is, like, the way listening to what you're saying, it reminds me of when I went into to do my own healing work in the jungle. It's like the thing is, the a different environment like that, it helps you bring out the things you have to deal with. Because in the comfort of your own home, you suppress feelings, you suppress thoughts. You're running around, oh, I'm going to be running around doing this and this and this. You're always busy being busy. You're not really doing anything. Whereas I believe in environments, raw environments like you were, like I was, it brings out things you need to deal with. It makes you show things where you go, I really don't want to see this, but it's like this, it's better now than ever.
Mhm.
And I think that's what don't get me wrong, we're not telling our people to go to Haiti unless you want to go and help,
Right.
or go to Peru and purge your traumas or whatever you've gone through. But these are the environments that you need to take it, what's happening around you, and be able to heal yourself at the same time. And I think if you want to get any raw in healing yourself and finding, because when you say finding, you dedicate a full year to the meaning of love. We're not just talking about the superficial level here,
Mhm.
and that takes a raw environment to do that, you
Yeah.
know.
I believe you're absolutely right. I mean, it's so true, and you can relate because you've been in a similar environment,
Mm,
where it's completely different than where you are. And
absolutely.
right, you have to face things. And it's so easy at home in the evening, just turn on the TV. Well, with no
Yes,
power, guess what? There's no TVs, right?
that's right.
And so there's a lot of human
Yeah,
interaction, more human
yeah.
interaction, and
Mhm.
and dealing with some tough stuff. I mean, right, it is raw, like you said, it is the where the rubber meets the road. It's real
Mm,
life.
because like you're saying, you don't have the luxuries of your home, you don't have, like, I'm in the jungle, where the sound of the jungle, you can't put that volume down. That
No.
gets louder,
Uh-huh.
and seeing, like you said, I remember the river, the Amazon River, children bathing in the Amazon River,
Mhm.
and and here we are thinking, oh, I need my Dove, body lotion, and I need my cold shower, my warm shower, my really nice see-through water, and this is brown mud water, but they had the biggest smile on their faces, and you're sitting there trying to work out, what's going on here? What am I missing?
Mhm.
So that's just so profound. Like, as I said, did you, I mean, I'll probably ask you this. No, I'll ask you this question now because I'm scared I'll forget later. But did you feel like at the end of that year, did you go, this was meant to happen to me like this? This is where I was meant to be. This is exactly where all the chips had to fall. I'm not
Yeah,
talking about
absolutely.
your journey, losing your husband, but the
Right.
after effect.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
Uh, it is exactly what I needed to be doing, exactly where it was, and it actually once I got into it or, started it, I realized that there are 14 is's and isn'ts of love in that poem, and so it took me longer than a year, and,
You have
yeah,
to go back. Maybe I'll send you to
right.
Peru. Start
Right,
it there.
right, right, exactly. I've been to Peru, actually. But,
Yeah.
yeah, but um, it was a journey, it was sort of an eat, pray, love kind of a thing, the people you meet along the way, and you learn from everybody if you're open. Kinda going back to
Yeah.
what you were saying earlier about, happiness is up to you. I mean, there's things in life that you have no control over and things you would never pick, right? But you don't
Absolutely.
have a choice. But there are things that you can choose, and you can
Yes.
choose your level of happiness. It shouldn't
Yes.
depend on what others are doing. You can
Mhm.
choose how to live each day. You can choose if you want to give back. You can choose uh, to wallow in sorrow. I mean, you can make
Mhm.
whatever choices, but happiness is a choice, and
Absolutely.
moving forward is a choice.
It's saying it's like the, you can't change what's happening, but you can change how you react to it.
Exactly, exactly. That's
And
exactly it.
that's the biggest lesson that us as, human in societies that we grew up in, like you're in America, I'm in Australia, and our societies don't allow you to, they tell you, no, if this is happening, you've got to feel this way. You can't change how you feel about it. And you think, okay, well then if the mass is thinking this way, then I must think this way. But instead, my mentor always says you can change things. You don't like where you live, change it. You don't like your job, change it. You don't like your
Mhm,
environment, change it.
mhm.
Things like that. You have the power to change. It's and people who are listening or watching are probably going, well, what's this got to do with breast cancer? Well, in my case, no, but it has everything to do with it, because these are why I have people like yourself, Kim, because what I want my viewers and my listeners to understand is you have the power to change how you do things. We're not telling them to go to a third world. You want to go to a third world country, like I said before, knock yourself out. But it's learning how you have the power within to change for the better of yourself, to find the true meaning of something and to grasp it. Like the thing is, well, when I because I did purchase your book. I haven't got it yet, but I did purchase it.
Oh, well, thank you.
Love is, so I can't wait to read it. But when I look at things like that, and you say to yourself, I had to do this for myself, not just for everyone else. But you go for a whole year learning the meaning of love. But where, did you have an aha moment? Is that what happened, or was it overall?
Oh, kind of both. I mean, I
Mm.
had aha moments every month, every single month, with the word that I was working on, and finally coming to the realization of the meaning. But there are some things certainly that are like this umbrella over all of love. So because every word is different. Love that is kind,
Mm.
way different than love that is patient, way different than love that doesn't easily anger. They're all different. They're all different, unique, and all parts of love. And then there's a common thread that runs
Mm.
between all of them that is really powerful just by itself. And
Mm.
so really, uh starting out, even knowing one, even knowing the meaning of one of the words would change a life, would change my life.
Yeah.
Even if I
Mm.
only did it 1 month and learned what love is patient is, my life would have changed. And so I kind of feel like I did everybody's homework for them because nobody has to go
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
whatever, boil their water or whatever, and and live that way. So you can just read the book and find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is too, because like you said, you've done the homework for us. You've actually gone and done all of this. But you know, oh, what was I going to say? It was because the thing is, you knew love, like you said, you knew love for your children, you knew love for your husband, love for your community, your family, your friends, but it's a different love. It's a deeper love. So, what was the one thing that really surprised you when you went, "Oh, this is what love is?" Because love, like you just said, love is a word, but it has so many different branches to it.
Mhm.
So, what surprised you the most about love?
There were so many things. I think one of the toughest months was love keeps no record of wrongs.
Mm.
And I was dreading that one because I thought, well, you might forgive people, but you don't forget the things that happen to you, right? So
Yeah.
what's love got to do with that? Like how can that be? And And love, I believe, or love is, it's not an emotion like that you fall in and out of. It's there's so many things that we think about love that are not love, but it's not like excitement or joy. It's something you are. It's all
Yeah.
encompassing, and how you decide to give and live that love is up to you. But it's
Mhm.
something that you are. And so here I'm working on love keeps no record of wrongs, and thinking, what is it going to be? And uh, I didn't even know how to start that one out. But I got a phone call, was asked by a man from the US to show him a water project that I was working on in Haiti.
Mhm.
And he was interested in maybe getting involved in it, asked if I would show him. I said, sure. So 8 men came from the US. And then I had 2 Haitian friends, both men, that came with us because they knew the project inside and out and they could translate. And so 8 American men, 2 Haitian men, and me. And we got to where we were staying out in the countryside, very small building, 2 rooms, 4 twin-size beds in each room. So, but we did bring 2 cots. We brought an air mattress, and there was some extra room in the room. So I'm thinking, we'll get by. It'll be fine. Well, the head American guy pulled me over. Kim, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure. And he said, did you see the rooms? And I'm thinking, buddy, there's nothing else to see. There's nothing here. And then I went, oh, he's going to think I want my own room. And so
Ah.
I'll just say, well, it's okay. I'll sleep outside. And he'll say, oh, no, if anybody should sleep inside, it should be you. And then I'll say, well, I don't care if there's other people sleeping in the room. And he'll say, good, because there's only so much room. So I said, well, it's okay. I'll sleep outside. And he said, oh, good, good. Because we've got men on the trip that would be very uncomfortable with a woman in their room. And I'm thinking, oh my God, did I just set myself up or what? And so I had to do it. I mean, I said I would. And so I looked around. There was a piece of plywood that was kind of held up to these wooden structures. And I thought, well, if I sleep underneath that, at least if it rains, I'm okay. And we did have an air mattress. And so first night I went to bed, I was scared because there are tarantulas and there are snakes and there are
Mm.
squirrels and there are chupacabras or whatever lurking in the bushes of Haiti.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to get attacked by anything or dismembered or whatever could happen. And so
Yeah.
I went to bed and the air mattress held air for about an hour. And then I was on gravel. And it was loud. You talk about the jungle being loud. It was loud because of horns and dogs
Mm.
barking everywhere.
Mm.
And then finally, midnight, 1 a.m., that died down. And then, like an hour later, voodoo drums started in the distance. And then that went on for a couple hours. So finally, I was able to get some sleep. Well, the first night came and went, and everything was just fine. Second night, same thing, no air after an hour. I'm on gravel. It's loud, the horns, the dogs, the voodoo drums. Finally, I'm asleep. But I woke up because there was something on my leg. And I thought, oh my word, what could it be? Does Haiti have the anti-venom to whatever it is that's about to poison me? Am I going to get airlifted to Miami on time? What is going to happen? And so I was laying on my back because I figured that would be the quickest way to run from something. So I slept on my back. So I slowly lifted my head and I slowly opened my eyes. And it was a chicken. There was a chicken on my leg. And I didn't know whether to be mad because it woke me up from the little bit of sleep I was getting, or happy that it wasn't something much worse. Well, the third
Yeah.
night came and went. Nothing happened the third night. Fourth night, so same thing. The dogs, the horns, the voodoo drums, finally asleep. I wake up again because there's something on my leg. And again, I'm scared to death, thinking, what could it be? What is it going to be? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? So again, I slowly lift my head and slowly open my eyes. And again, it was that dang chicken. And again, I didn't know whether to be mad or happy because I had no sleep that week. But the good news is we had chicken for dinner that night. So my fifth night came and went without incident. All was fine. And I'll tell you, at first I was bitter. I was angry at those guys. I was thinking, man, I hope my sons wouldn't treat a woman this way. I'm all about equality, but I am a woman, right? I'm
Mm.
And I felt
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I was being
absolutely.
kinda treated subhuman. Because what is gonna
Mm,
happen, honestly? In hot, hot Haiti, you go in your room to sleep, that's it. I wear pajamas.
mm,
What is gonna
yeah,
happen, in a room full of people? But whatever, and so I was bitter, but then telling myself, "Bitterness only hurts me, they don't know I'm mad at them." It only
yes.
is gonna eat away at me. It doesn't affect them at all. They don't know. And so I thought, well, I can't be bitter. And then I kind of got hit over the head. Love keeps no record of wrongs. So
Mm,
that means that, yes, that happened. That happened. But how I treat that story changed. So the narrative
absolutely.
changes, right? The mood of the story changes. So instead
Yes.
of these rotten men that did this rotten thing to me, it's now just kind of this funny story, this funny thing that happened to me. And now I could literally sleep anywhere in the world and be perfectly fine. And so that is love that doesn't keep record of wrongs. You change the narrative, you
Wow.
change the tone.
That is so profound. Honestly, that is you're just taking words out of my textbook that I believe by, which is amazing because it's so true. Like I was just saying before, the situation, it is what it is. It's how you react to it. It's what you
Mhm.
take out of it. And a lot of people have these, I call them stories. They tell the story. They hold on to that story. You could hold on to that story. Oh, 20 years ago, I went and this happened to me. Da, 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 da. And it's a story that you hold on to. Whereas, like you said, you've made it into a story, which is amazing as well, but it's the lesson behind it. It's the
Mhm.
beautiful lesson behind it. So do you actually, I'm just well, no, I'm gonna know anyway in the book, but I'm just curious, do you sort of through your book, because we'll mention your book, Love Is, do you actually mention these in every time you actually went through one of the love messages or the wording? Do you actually put a little, like an example, a scenario that happened to you, or do
Oh,
you
I
just
tell
leave
the
it up to
story.
the
Oh,
readers?
no, yeah, no,
Yeah,
I tell the full story. I tell the full
great.
story of what brings me to the realization. And then
Yeah,
and then I say how to live it. Because I started out with one word, and then the next month there's two things I'm living out, and then three, and then four.
yeah.
And some of them were so different from what I ever knew about love that
Mm,
it took a big mind shift and heart shift to really live it, to really figure
yeah.
out how to encompass love and really live it.
Well, see, it's a matter of accepting it, isn't it? It's a matter of going, well, if this is what truly it is, I have to learn how to accept what it is. I can't just change it because I don't like it. That's the true thing, and it's learning to adjust yourself, but you adjust yourself in a positive way, in a healthy way. You don't just go, all right, all right, all right, I'm just gonna grin my teeth every time I have to think of this, because that's not healthy. You've got to allow yourself, and that's a growth within itself. That's a beautiful big growth within itself. So I really love that. So you said you want to share some stories. I'd love to hear about another story of the understanding on love. When you say what is, we know when we ask the question what is, okay, let me ask you now, for you, what is love right now for Kim? Because it could change in 12 months. But right now, what is love for Kim?
Love, I love everybody. I think people should love everybody. Love doesn't have labels.
Yeah.
Love is not a transaction, like you said. Love is not a transaction. Love is not a two-way street. Love is up to you, period. You don't love to get love back. That's when it's a transaction. Love
Yeah.
doesn't do that. Love loves, period. No matter
Mm,
what you get in return, you
yeah.
love. Love is up to you.
Mm,
There's no room for judgment. There's no room for discrimination, for racism. There's
mhm.
no room for any of that. Love allows people, not that you have to allow, but sometimes it's the mind shift, right?
Yeah.
Love allows people to live who they're meant to be, gives people
Yes.
that freedom. Be who you are. Be who you are. And
Yeah.
and so there's no judgment in that. So it might not be the life you want to live. You might disagree with some stuff. Who cares? People
Mm,
disagree. People can have different opinions. Love allows for
yeah,
that. Love allows people to have different opinions and even
absolutely,
welcomes
absolutely.
them, welcomes the
Mhm,
different opinions, right? Because you learn from
mhm.
each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I say it all the time, like, if you like me, great. If you don't like me, great.
Right.
I say it. If
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's what it is. I'm not gonna, I love that, has no judgment. The thing is, if we were to be taken out of our bodies, our physical bodies, we're all part of one. We're all part of one. Greatness, whatever you believe in, we're all part of one. We are one. So if you took all our souls out, there'd be no judgment. There'd be
Right.
no judgment. But we grow up in environments like, where we come, the Western world, most of the Western world is we grow up pointing fingers, and point. And I always believe that it starts at home. I think it starts at home, as a young child, how you get brought up, but it's also because their generation, how they got brought up, and their generation. So everyone's got that, whereas if you remove yourself from there, there's nothing but love left. What else is left?
Mhm. Right. I love the way you said that. I mean, it's so true. It's so true. I you talk to people sometimes and, like in the United States, there's such a political divide, right?
Mm,
And so people will say, I love everybody. I love everybody. But those darn Democrats, or I love everybody. Those Republicans, well, then you don't love everybody, right? Because
that's right.
who cares what political party they're affiliated with? Who cares? Because it's not who you are. You're Grace and I'm Kim, period.
That's right.
End of
That's right.
story, right?
Yeah.
And
But people
and
don't
none of
see
us
that. Mm,
yeah, and none of us have lived exactly the same life. None of us. And every day that we live leads us to today, to
yeah.
how we react to things, what we believe, what we know, and hopefully we're growing and evolving, right? I
Oh,
mean, hopefully
hopefully.
I'm smarter now than I was when I was 20, right?
Yeah.
And so you give each other grace to change. People can change their
Absolutely.
opinion. That's okay too. Like it's all okay because
Yeah.
too we have no control over anybody. When you're a mom and you have that baby, you have total control. You decide when the baby eats, you control when the baby goes in the crib, you control when the baby has a bath. Well, 6, 8 months later, that baby's crawling. And pretty soon, all
Mhm.
the pots and pans are all over the kitchen floor making noise, and you have lost control, and you never gain control back again. You never
Absolutely.
do. So we control nobody but ourselves. We control
Mhm.
nobody but ourselves. And there's freedom in that because it means you don't have to fix people. We don't have
Yeah.
to fix anybody. I was the queen of unsolicited advice. "Oh gosh, I can help you with that. If you did it this way, it'd be so much easier, whatever your life would be so much better if you just do it this way."
Yeah.
Well, people aren't gonna change, you know?
Yeah.
People
No,
are who they are. That you get to be who you
exactly.
are. You have the freedom to be
Yeah.
who you are. You're created
Well,
to
you
be.
gotta learn. You gotta learn from your own mistakes. They say that. I mean, sometimes I always say I get really upset with my husband and I'm like, "Just let me do it." And he's like, "But if I've been through there, why should you have to do the same thing?" Yes, there are certain things that, okay, you don't have to go through there. If there's a massive hole, don't go, "Oh, listen, go over there." You might get, fall down the massive hole because I did. Just, go around it. There are
Yeah.
certain things I get, but the majority of the time is we're being put on this earth to be our authentic self, to be the best version of ourselves. No one else. I'm not trying to be the next Kardashian. I'm not trying to be the next, Tony Robbins or anything like that. I'm just trying to be the next best version of who Grace was yesterday morning. That's it.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
it. So, and the thing is, a lot of people feel that, well, unless I'm something or so, unless I point fingers, no. And those people that point fingers, I believe that they're going through a harder time until they understand it doesn't work that way. It doesn't help you. And unfortunately, they didn't go through the traumas and well, fortunately and unfortunately, they didn't go through the traumas of learning the hard way of what really matters. So they find things easy through life until life shows up one day and says, "That's not right," and they get all, "How do I deal with this?" Whereas just being yourself, I think, is the main thing. I think it's the main
Mhm.
goal. I think it's
Right.
the main goal. So,
Be yourself and love yourself, right? I mean, you gotta love
ab
yourself. That
absolutely.
it's gotta start there, because if you
Yeah.
don't love yourself, it's awful hard to love other people.
Well,
So
it's just harder to love others, isn't it?
mhm, it is.
If you don't
It
love
is.
yourself, it's just so
Yeah,
much harder to love others.
right, and we can be so hard on ourselves. We can be harder on ourselves than we are on other people. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and why? Why? You know, we all have different bodies. We all have different hair. We all have different color skin. We all have different, we're all unique. There is nobody in the world that looks exactly like you, not
No,
one soul. And we're talking billions of people. And there's never been and never will be somebody who looks exactly like you,
that's right.
who acts exactly like you,
Mhm,
who
mhm.
knows everything that you know. Nobody. You are unique, which is so special. I mean, if the Mona Lisa, there's one.
That's
There's
right.
one Mona Lisa. You know what it's worth? I mean,
Yeah,
it's invaluable, right?
yeah,
I mean, when there's one of something, the worth is incredible. Well,
yeah.
there's one of you. Your worth
Mhm.
is you can't put a number on it. You can't put
So
a
much
number on your
greater.
worth.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The one thing I learned through my process, my whole journey was, and I tell women to do this, it's really hard. I find I tell people to do it, and they just look at me thinking, "Oh, I can't do that." I look at myself in the mirror. I look at myself and I say, "Grace, I love you. I love you so much." And it's not a pep talk. It's not a, it's a little pep talk. It's, I love you so much and nothing's going to happen because I've got your back and you're going
Mm.
to be fine. You've got this. I will never let you down. I love you so much. And when I tell women to do that, they just look at me and go, "What? Oh, no, I can't do that."
I love
That's so
that.
empowering.
Yeah. Oh, it's so empowering. And it, the first few times you said it might have felt odd. And so when people do that, it might feel odd at first.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I tell them.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like do it for 30 days and
Oh,
see how it
I
feels.
cried. I cried. I wanted to reach through the mirror and hold myself. How much
Mm,
I cried the first couple of times. It didn't just come out of the blue. I didn't just, say it, because it didn't. It came from the heart. It came from the soul.
mm.
Because, like I said, I don't just tell people to go, "Okay, I love you. I love you, Grace. Okay, yeah, I love you. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be here for you." No, you got to say it like you mean it. Like you would tell your partner, you would tell your best friend, you would tell your mother. "I love you so hard." A friend of ours got this word. She always looks at it, she goes, "I love you so hard." You know,
I
she
like that.
uses that, and that's what it is. It's that moment of saying, "I don't know what else to say or call it because I love you so much." And
Mhm.
imagine saying that to yourself, which is just amazing. Wow, I've actually had an amazing. I'm going to continue having conversations with you after this, but was there anything else you wanted to speak about that we probably didn't touch on?
Well, starting out that very first month was patient. Love is patient. And like I said earlier, changed my life. And uh, it's profound, and it's something that is easy to know, a little harder to live, but easy to know.
Absolutely.
But because we know what patience is, right? You're
Mhm.
getting ready to go and they missed the bus because they didn't pack their lunch, and now you got to drive them to school, whatever, and you're not mad and acting all angry, and you're being patient. But love that is patient is so different from that. Love that is patient is loving the person you're with. When you love the person you're with, which I believe you just should love everybody, just love
Yeah.
everybody.
Mhm.
It's the greatest way to live. Love everybody. And so love whoever it is, the person at the grocery store, your next door neighbor, your partner, your kids, whoever, but you love them in a way that you recognize that this is the most important moment of your life. What's in the past is in the past, and what's in the future is yet to come. And
Mm.
I'll tell you what, this took me a lot of practice because I would be thinking about a meeting I had later, what I had to get at the grocery store on the way home, who had to get to soccer practice, and think I'm totally engaged at the same time. And you can't do that. Nobody can do that.
Yeah.
But to give your full attention changes everything. Because when you really give your full attention, your ears open up and you hear things that you would not hear. You're not
Mhm.
making assumptions about what they're going to say because of who they are or whatever label you put on them. You're not having your rebuttal ready. Oh, I can't wait till they stop talking so I can quick get
Yeah.
this word in, right?
Yeah.
But you hear in a different way and you realize we've got way more in common than we have different from each other. And that we learn from each other. So that is love that is patient. Be completely in the moment. Be totally there for the person that you're with. Give them every bit of you. This is the
Mm.
most important moment of your life, right here, right now.
Wow. That is so good. And the thing is, no matter what people are going through, if they see that moment as just be patient right now with whatever's happening around you, chaos. It's like being in the tornado or a cyclone. If you're in the middle, if you're at home, you're okay. If you get on the edges, then you're going to be whipped up with it. But just come home and just really understand patience, understand what's really truly going on with yourself and the other person. So I really love that. I really, really love that. Wow. Like I said, you've just blown my mind. You really have. So, whew, I'm just I've got 101 different things I'm gonna think of when I get off the phone. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." Um, but, first and foremost, I will have all your links below. Please reach out to Kim. Get her book, Love Is. I believe you have other books as well, Cry Until You Laugh.
Yes, that's actually I started writing that when I was diagnosed with cancer.
Right,
And
perfect.
yeah, so that's that book. So it's what it's really like to go through it.
Yeah, and I'll definitely have they go straight to Amazon to purchase your books as well. So I'll have the links there as well. You can also get in touch with or follow Kim on Kim Sorrelle at Instagram and on Facebook. She's also on LinkedIn,
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Twitter,
Uh-huh.
and Tiny One, which I've never heard of that one. Oh, it's like a YouTube, is it?
Well, the tiny one is part of the URL. It's but yes, YouTube. On YouTube
Perfect.
as well. So yeah, kind of
Perfect.
everywhere.
I've had an amazing time talking to you, and I'm going to continue talking to you after. But thank you so much for being on my podcast. Your story is, like I said before, I had to acknowledge you in the beginning, and now I know why, because you're just why I do this. This is why I do this, because I want people out there to understand that there's more to the human spirit than what we get told or what we believe. And we're so much more special than what we tell ourselves. So, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Grace, I love you. I've had such a great time. I wish we lived next door and we could just hang out all the time. And I can't wait for that pilgrimage. I think we're gonna do it. We're gonna make
Absolutely.
that
Oh my
happen.
God, we are going to do it. So,
Mhm.
thanks again. Thank you so much, Kim, for being on my podcast. And thanks everyone for watching and listening in. And like always, I send you so much love and light.